What is up YouTube, and welcome to this Zack Snyder Justice League video, aka Snyder Cut, aka the greatest redemption of a movie of all time. I am sure, like me, many of you walked out of the cinema in late 2017 thinking, what the heck did I just see? The Justice Cut was, and still is, absolutely trash. It did not match the tone and style of the previous two movies, Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, the latter being one of the most divisive comic book movies of all time. And I tell you, at my age, I thought I'd seen it all, and this was something else, a fandom divided. But I covered leaks before this movie came out way back when, and heard about Darkseid, and other things being in the movie, but it became clear that they were cut, and soon after, leaked, unfinished VFX things came out, showing Iris West being saved by Barry Allen, and this was not the Snyderverse that we were expecting, and there was a Snyder Cut there waiting to be finished, and the fans went rabid. This is the biggest fan movement I can remember in all time, and one of the biggest quick 180s and 360s that the verified bloggers have done the minute it was announced. They spent years trashing it, and then they instantly started loving it because they want those clicks. Ironically, the biggest fan movement I can remember was the Firefly movement to save the show, and, well, there was also that Save Chuck movement as well. However, here we are 4 years later with Zack Snyder's vision restored, and we can see what the legend wanted. The director is just as divisive as his movies, and as a huge Watchmen fan, I knew he would do the Justice League justice, and here he has. This movie is near perfect, fixing characters, putting Cyborg rightfully at the heart of the movie, and fixing Aquaman's character and setting up his subsequent movie, which came out after the original Justice League movie, showing Volko and his intentions for the movie. But however, before we dive into this epic breakdown, please do consider dropping a like down below and subscribing with notifications on to never miss a video, as we will have our Falcon and the Winter Soldier video out tomorrow. Now we open with a new opening here, with Superman's death as his death cry screams around the world and the wider universe as Lois and Batman watch him die. It's very different to the opening we got in the 2017 movie, where we saw Bruce fight some parademons. The mother boxes kept on Earth are pinging as Earth has lost its greatest protector, calling to its owners, or its previous owners. I will admit, the idea that Steppenwolf came to Earth not realizing it was the world that had the anti-life equation did seem a bit odd there. The mother boxes are sentient beings created in the comics on New Genesis, the counterpart to Darkseid's Apocalypse. However, Darkseid's aim with them was to go from world to world and turn each planet and population into Apocalypse and under his control. Each one pings as they were separated thousands of years ago, so that the unity will not be attempted again, which can be done to actually terraform the planet. And we even see the deleted scene from BVS showing Lex Luthor learning of just what the unity is in the Kryptonian archive part of the scout ship. This opening is, as I said, wildly different than the original release, where Batman fought a criminal and that weird phone camera footage of Superman plays, although I did like the idea that might have been Billy Batson. Now, 100% missing is Batman killing a parademon at the start, as we got a much better reason why parademons are in Gotham City. As a montage of characters hits and it goes into the Wonder Woman scenes, here we see a good look at where each mother box is, and I much prefer it as each scene of the Snyder Cut bleeds into another and it isn't rushed. I mean, heck, mate, it's 4 hours long, which I don't mind on a streaming service, and really this would have worked greatly as a 6 or 7 part series, as there are chapters where you can get up and go to the toilet or get some snacks, but in a cinema it'd be far too long. But Bruce fails to recruit Arthur as he leaves, and people sing a song which wasn't in the original cut, as Martha leaves the Kent farm, which is now under ownership of the bank, and we see Lois and cut to the Wonder Woman scene saving the children, which I presume is the Old Bailey, as Diana is on the Lady Justice statue. Now the gang here are still nameless, but just want to turn back the time on Europe, and my own headcanon here is that I always thought that these were the people who might have been exposed to the anti-life equation, maybe came across it on Earth, and there's a bit of an anti-life cult on Earth. It's a bit weird, but we cut to Themyscira where the mother box is kept, and it pings as a boom tube hits and Steppenwolf arrives. The scene is similar to the original, but Steppenwolf has a much longer speech and back and forth with Queen Hippolyta, and the Amazons are presented in a lot more badass light. And yes, I wonder why Joss Whedon wouldn't be presenting women in a badass light there. Kieran Hines is stunning in his role as Steppenwolf and is given much more depth to his role as we learn of the cosmic threat of Darkseid, who has conquered thousands of planets, something that would make Thanos tremble in his nice little golden boots. This entire scene and subsequent sequences were powerful as the Amazons fight to the death to keep Steppenwolf from the mother box, as the Queen buries her own sisters in the mother box room to keep Steppenwolf from running off. Of course, yes, he did survive, and we would later learn that, well, she was present the first time these boxes threatened Earth. However, Darkseid's uncle wins and takes the box and boom tubes the heck out of there. Hippolyta says how he hasn't gone to his universe like another Amazonian thought, but he's gone to the world of men to take their mother box. Steppenwolf retreats to his base and puts in the Amazon's mother box into his little machine, and, well, he says they will see his worth again. I'm not so sure about that, Butters. You're going to let down your nephew a second time, as Bruce and Alfred discuss this Justice League recruitment attempt, and a parademon looks for the mother box that was used by Silas, and we get some scenes to explain why Diana knew of the incoming invasion. The Amazons launch the Arrow of Artemis to light the signal fire on the Amazonian temple in Crete. This was not in the original movie. We simply saw her look at the fire and that was it. We get to see Diana actually learn about this, which was really nice to see, as opposed to her simply just, know it and tell Bruce. Now, the first of the big DCEU debuts, kind of, in this Snyder Cut comes as we see Ryan Choi, who is working with Silas at Star Labs. Ryan Choi is, of course, the Atom, or at least the second Atom, and was in the comics a long-time protege of Ryan Palmer, the original Atom. He found the Atom's bio belt after Ray Palmer went missing and took up the mantle himself. It seems they may have decided to skip Ray Palmer for now, but Ray is not yet the Atom, and I'm excited to see where this goes. Now, this isn't the first live-action debut, because we did have a Ryan Choi over in Crisis on Infinite Earths in the Arrowverse. However, there's been a break-in at the lab, of course. We saw the parademon, and they've abducted people, and the police ask about the missing artifact, which is the mother boxes. Silas and Ryan play coy. One who did survive this attack drew a sketch which looks like the Batman, and I really like this as it bleeds through this whole thing a lot better than what we got originally. Aquaman gets to meet Volko in a major cut scene which sets up the Aquaman movie, as he wants to give Aquaman his mother's trident and also the armor, and says Arthur is the true king of Atlantis, and that if his mother was alive, she would be the one going to fight and protect the mother box. And yes, that does set this up, and personally I was never a fan of Aquaman in, well, the original Justice League movie, and I kind of really accepted him in his own movie, but I think that the way this is edited and the way that Jason Momoa was directed here by our boy Zack Snyder was a lot better, and I am a huge Jason Momoa fan, and it did make me upset that I didn't really like him as Aquaman, but he's much better here. Now, Steppenwolf talks to Desaad in, again, new scenes and says the invasion has begun, and Desaad belittled Steppenwolf, who wants to come home but vaguely hints that he betrayed Darkseid. I imagine this betrayal was to do with Darkseid almost dying in the past, and Darkseid wishes to control all of existence and rob it of its free will in his bid to take over Apokolips. He also warped a young boy who became known as Desaad, and yes, he did take on his brother and managed to secure his throne on Apokolips. Now, Steppenwolf assures Desaad that this invasion will be easy as there's no Kryptonians or Lanterns. Through the campaigns, he probably met quite a few Kryptonians, as we know as of Man of Steel that the Kryptonians were spreading across the galaxy, and we might get more history of the Kryptonians. Hopefully we'll get the Bottle City of Kandor at some point, and we should hopefully see Supergirl soon, as she is going to be in the DCEU. And Diana fills Bruce in on what happened and how there was a war where the Amazonians and Atlanteans and humans came together to fight Darkseid and his armada. They even had help from beyond the stars in the form of a Green Lantern who was killed by Darkseid as his ring zips off to find a new owner. Now, the Green Lanterns, of course, make up the Green Lantern Corps, a group of peacekeepers set up by the Guardians of the Universe. No doubt in Steppenwolf's campaign he has also come to meet them, I would imagine, as he did have to conquer 50,000 worlds for his nephew, and he's come into contact with quite a few of them. Darkseid discovered the anti-life equation when he arrived on Earth, something that is encoded in the planet, something that can be used to insert the idea and mathematical certainty that life and free will are pointless as the people fall under his control. However, Ares almost kills the ruler of Apokolips, and his mother boxes used to terraform the planet into Apokolips clones are lost as Darkseid retreats, and the mother boxes can't be used to create unity, as the three kingdoms of Earth do kind of hide them under their own rituals. Now, I really loved it as I head into part 3, but this history scene was stunning. Ares looked like an absolute beast. Zeus looked amazing, and I can't wait to see this kind of explored a bit more, maybe in another Wonder Woman movie. But part 3 I loved, as Flash is my favourite of all the DC characters, as we catch up with Barry as he's late for an interview at a pet store, and he's neurotic running into Iris West, who is cut from the original, and I really hope Kiersey Clemons is 100% in the Flash movie. He's a criminal justice major but spots Iris about to die in a car crash and saves her. The way the Speed Force is portrayed here is superb, the force that Barry taps into to get his speed. In the comics, he is able to tap into it due to a lightning strike hitting chemicals, and Iris West is the love of his life. I thought it was funny how he returned back to the shop after having a lingering look at Iris in the Speed Force and uses the hot dog that he stole to calm the dogs. However, trouble comes to the Atlanteans as Steppenwolf interrogates one and learns where the Atlanteans keep their mother box, as Diana and Bruce split up to recruit Barry and Victor Stone. We get to see exactly what happened with Victor Stone, how he's a star ball player and lost his limbs in a car crash in which his mother died. He does blame his father for this because he thinks that if his father was there, it might not have happened. He also uses his intellect for good, changing people's grades, and we see that later when he gives a woman $100,000. Now we see him learn his powers as his father says it will take great will and not to use them or abuse them, as he could change the world, but of course the change would cause a lot of further things as a parademon comes to steal the mother box. And well, we see Barry Allen meet his dad in jail, of course, which is pretty much the same as what we saw in the original movie, but of course we know he was framed by the Reverse Flash there. Hopefully they have the Reverse Flash coming in the Flash movie. The recruitment scene is pretty much largely the same for Barry, but I did like how we get to see Alfred work on a gauntlet that absorbs heat and light, much like Diana's gauntlets that Bruce later uses against Superman, and she goes to the cyborg again, much like the original. although we got to see more shots of Ryan Choi and Silas before Silas is kidnapped, and more scenes with Jim Gordon, and it baffles me how Joss wasted J.K. Simmons on the first go-around, as there's reports of parademons and people being taken, and the sketch looks much like the Bat himself. Now, Arthur Curry decides to go and protect the Atlantis mother box, and of course fails, but we get an extended scene with him talking to Mirror about his mother, which was really, really cool. Now, Steppenwolf's mission is almost complete as Jim Gordon meets the Bat in one of the coolest scenes where Bruce drops to the roof and he assures him it's not him doing this, and the Justice League run off to try and take out the parademon nest in Gotham that is kind of between Gotham and Metropolis, which I really liked. I really like this. Some of the stuff is the same, but of course, reportedly, none of the scenes that Joss Whedon shot are actually in the movie. The scenes where they fight Steppenwolf are largely the same, but a notable difference is that Barry doesn't fall on Diana in a really cringe scene that was in the original. We also learn that the naughty boys of World War II, yes, you know who I mean, I can't say it because of monetization, they actually found the mother box and kept it until the US liberated it and kept it in their archives until Silas worked out that it can be used to kind of, I would say, communicate with Kryptonian tech, and he worked out how he can turn it back on, which, yes, it's always a bad idea when you do that, isn't it? After this fight, Steppenwolf works out the anti-life equation is on Earth, which is weird, as I'd imagine they remember where it is, and this scene was used in the original history lesson in place of Darkseid for, well, no reason. Darkseid learns of this, and we hear Ray Porter's booming voice bringing the leader of Apocalypse to life, which was stunning to see, and I really hope we see more of Darkseid. I cannot wait to see that. But the Justice League work out that they can use the mother box to bring Superman back, as it can be used to reverse damage and entropy of an object, I would guess. Hey, I've seen Tenet far too much. But we also got a massive fan theory confirmed when Martha meets Lois at her house for coffee, and they talk about Superman. Before this happened at the Daily Planet, actually this was Martian Manhunter as Martha. Yes, convincing Lois to come back into the world. And this is big as it's General Swanwick from Man of Steel and BVS, and he was an alien all this time. He was brought to Earth by a teleportation mistake, and he is from Mars, and in some stories his planet and species have died off, leaving him to adopt Earth as his home. And the team go on to exhume Clark, and I love how Barry and Victor idolize him and they don't exhume him at super speed out of respect, as Arthur and Diana discuss their respective species having a war in the past, something that happens again in Flashpoint, which will be explored, I imagine, in the Flash movie, because that is going to explore Flashpoint. They take his body to the Kryptonian ship, and Cyborg creates a distraction, but I like how his father saw through it, but lets them pass without fuss. Now, Barry sparks the mother box as he can go faster than the speed of light, and this scene is much better than the original, except we saw a small look at what will happen in the future as we see Diana and Arthur die, along with Lois, as we see Darkseid absolutely clear house and use his Omega beams in his eyes, and I presume that he uses the anti-life equation on Superman in his grief of Lois, kind of capitalizing on that, proving she is the key. The scene was great and actually does link into the epilogue. The fight was a lot of fun, and the golfing quality between this and the original was next level, and also no weird moustache CGI needed. The new scenes here are seeing Silas mark the mother box so it can be tracked using heat and sadly dying. Also greatly expanded Lois and Clark scenes to add more context to him coming to terms with just who he is after he dies, and then discovering the ultimate part of this movie, the black suit that was criminally missing from the original. It is his regenerative suit used in the original Return of Superman post-death. We also got a glimpse of a suit that looks close to Lexi's armor that he has in the comics, and the League fights Steppenwolf, and missing is the weird family subplot when the League fights Steppenwolf. Bruce has faith that Superman will appear, and I do find it weird that he arrives at the Bat Mansion instead of directly at the Steppenwolf base. The fight was hugely cringe in the original and much, much better here, as Arthur Curry is presented as more serious and there's time for jokes. Yes, this isn't an action comedy much like Marvel, which I love. There's room for, having two different things. You don't want everything to be the same, do you? That'd be boring and ridiculous. Cyborg intends to get to the boxes and stop the Unity and actually kind of commune with them. And I adored how Superman arrives to help Cyborg have enough time to get into the mother boxes and destroy them, which he tries to. And they try to give him this ideal life and trick him and try and, use his history against him. But I adored how Barry had to go back in time as they originally fail. And that way the Earth is terraformed, but it gets undone as Barry goes back. It's just absolutely spellbinding. Now, Steppenwolf is defeated as Darkseid arrives in the boom tube, but Diana sends Steppenwolf's head through the tube, which was absolutely badass, as Desard says how he knew Steppenwolf would fail. This is similar to the New 52, where Darkseid came to Earth and failed until the forces of Apocalypse return, which they will here. Darkseid, along with Big Barda, who is the leader of his special forces, and Desard will return to Earth using the old ways. I love the closing as we see the characters set up their own movies and future within the DCEU, as Ryan Choi is promoted to the head of nanotechnology, leading to him becoming the Atom. Aquaman said he's going to see his dad setting his movie up, and the Justice League HQ is set up with 6 chairs with room to expand as Barry gets a job in a crime lab. Now, Diana looks to Themyscira, hinting at her returning, and Wonder Woman 84 showed that she does need to work out her history and who she is, and of course there is that Asteria storyline tease. The Kent farm is safe as Bruce says congratulations, hinting at our boy Clark Kent being a father. Perhaps Jonathan Kent is coming down the line in the DCEU. One scene that gets more justice, or should I say injustice, yeah, that doesn't really work, does it? But the scene with Deathstroke and Lex is great, as we learn that Deathstroke decided to bust out Lex to get to the Batman, which he's going to do for free as Deathstroke gets some more lines and learns Batman's identity. This would have led into the Ben Affleck Batman movie with the pair facing off, but we got the R-Pats movie instead, which I'm excited for, don't get me wrong. This is much better than a simple Injustice League tease, and we move into the epilogue proper, as we see the aftermath of what happens when Darkseid comes to Earth. A ragtag group of the Flash, Cyborg, Batman, Deathstroke and Mirror, along with the Joker, are wandering after Darkseid has taken over the Earth using Superman and the anti-life equation, and the only new footage, a full new scene that's actually reshot, is with the Joker. I'm a big fan of the Jared Leto Joker, but I think those who aren't will prefer him here as he goads Batman about talking about how he loved people who died after Mirror implies he hasn't lost anyone he loved. The Joker taunts him and we get a weird reach around line, which, yeah, I knew somewhere Jared Leto would go a bit too far, but I like this as the truce is offered and explains why Bruce had the Joker card in BVS, as long as he has the Joker card and it's intact, they have a truce. And Joker insinuates that Bruce sent Robin to fight him when he wasn't ready. And yeah, that plays into the reveal of Robin's suit with the ha 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 line spray painted onto it. And the Batman's F line wasn't gratuitous, it was very cool despite all the coverage that it got. Finally, the pair are on screen dueling with words as Superman arrives and Bruce wakes up to be greeted by Martian Manhunter, hinting that the next movie, if it's made, will show Darkseid's invasion and the Justice League roster will be greatly expanded. The second movie was supposed to explore just what we saw, and the Justice League third movie would show them try and fix everything. Overall, this movie was wildly different and all the better for it, fitting the tone of Snyder's work, and I really think that Zack Snyder does understand these characters and he does have an eye for making these epic scenes work. Back in the day, his script work and story was reportedly one of the things which people didn't like, but I think that he has struck a really good balance here. No, I did not like the aspect ratio. It should have been optional and looked really weird on a 70-inch TV, But the jokes and humour are gone, except a few witty lines, and it's baffling how we got that shower of rubbish 4 years ago. But this was awesome, and I loved every minute of it. And I may do a separate video on this later, but tomorrow we've got Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Saturday I will be doing my Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 2 preview, and Sunday we will be doing American Gods. But that is it for this video. It's been a long time, but please do drop a like down below. Please do subscribe with notifications on, and I will see you soon, and goodbye. Hopefully my voice returns by Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Peace out.